I was floating in the observation deck of the Galactic Coalition warship Triumphant Dawn, sipping the kind of coffee that tastes like melted metal. That's when the news hit me. Earth had sent soldiers. And just like that, everything I knew about military intelligence for the past 23 years became irrelevant. My name is Vaughn. I am a Keelther, the species that literally wrote the manual on interstellar warfare. Every coalition species follows our tactics, doctrines, and training protocols. We've been fighting wars for 6,000 years. And humans had just applied to join our coalition. Their initial assessment was unremarkable. Physical capabilities average, technology mediocre, military experience chaotic. Their planet was a backwater. Their culture fragmented. Their idea of advanced warfare? Throwing metal at each other. Primitive. Quaint. Unremarkable, but numbers matter. The Rexan Horde was pushing into coalition space, consuming everything in its path. We needed bodies. And Earth had 4 billion that I was assigned to Processing Station Gamma 7, a massive orbital facility for integrating new coalition forces. My job? Evaluate the humans, write reports, go back to some important command post. Easy duty. The first transport arrived. I floated down to the docking bay with my assistant, Kree, a Pelthian who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. 200 humans filed out. Their leader, Lieutenant Commander Jack Stone, stopped in front of me. He was tall, average-looking by human standards, but those eyes, predator eyes. He said, simply, "Where do you want us?" Not, "Where should we report?" Not, "What are our orders?" Just, "Where do you want us?" I blinked 3 times. "Welcome to Processing Station Gamma 7. I am Senior Tactical Analyst Vaughn. This is my assistant, Kree. We will begin orientation." Stone tilted his head slightly. "Evaluation?" "Yes. Standard procedure." And that's when I started realizing we had seriously underestimated humans. The orientation was supposed to be routine. Physical tests, weapon familiarization, basic assessments. Lieutenant Torres, a human soldier, picked up 40 kilograms of standard coalition gear and finished the obstacle course in less than half the expected time. Then she added 20 kilograms of extra equipment and barely broke a sweat. Stone's team carried rifles older than some coalition fleets. When Sergeant Webb fired, he vaporized targets at 1,200 meters. With weapons we thought were primitive, I could feel my 3 stomachs turn. These humans weren't average. Not even close. Stone finally leaned back and said, calmly, "We are good at war." "Very good. And the Varaxans are about to find out exactly what that means." And I realized the truth. Earth hadn't sent soldiers. They had sent killers. The humans' abilities weren't just surprising. They were terrifying. After the obstacle course, we moved to weapons familiarization. I expected them to fumble with our standard coalition pulse rifles. Weapons in service for 3 centuries, precise, reliable, no recoil issues. Instead, they looked at them like we'd handed them toys. "No recoil?" Sergeant Webb muttered, turning the rifle over in his hands. "Interesting. What's the stopping power against armored targets?" I explained. He nodded, then pulled a weapon from his pack. Something ancient, heavy, made of metal and polymer composites. "M118 LR," he said casually. 7.62 millimeters. Effective 800 m, 1,200 m with skill. Targets that fire back? I've done 1,500 meters. Confirmed kills. Weekly. I froze. Did he just casually say he killed real targets? People that far away? Kree stammered, "But those weapons are inefficient. Ammunition limited, recoil huge. Most species are not humans," Webb said flatly. Then came the demonstration. On the firing range, holographic targets appeared. One by one, they were obliterated. 800 meters. 900, 1,000. 1,200. Each shot precise, deadly, almost effortless. 20 rounds. 0 misses. I was speechless. Stone leaned back and said calmly, "Analyst Vaughn, we need a private conversation. Somewhere with strong alcohol, if your species can process it." We sat in my office. I poured whiskey, 6 cycles aged, strong enough to strip paint. Stone sipped, nodded approvingly. "Nobody mase. No cough did I ask the question that had been burning in my mind. Your submitted data, it's inaccurate. Your soldiers are stronger, faster, more resilient. How? Stone leaned forward, eyes piercing. Analyst, do you know Earth history? I admitted I knew very little. We have been fighting wars for our entire existence, he said. Tribal conflicts, territorial disputes, religious crusades, ideological struggles, wars for survival. Every weapon, every environment, every opponent, all of it shaped us. My stomach sank. All that horror taught us efficiency, survival, adaptation, and most importantly, Stone's voice dropped. The species that survives is not the strongest or smartest. It's the one willing to do whatever it takes. He leaned closer. The data you got? That's civilian averages. You should have asked about the soldiers. You should have asked what humans do when they volunteer to walk into hell. You should have asked about us. The ones who wear the uniform because we are good at it. Not because we have to. I realized with a cold certainty that the coalition had underestimated an entire species. Stone smiled faintly, almost pitying. We are very, very good at war. And the Varaxans are about to find out exactly what that means. Outside my office, the rest of the human soldiers were being processed through evaluations. Breaking records, shattering expectations. Every test, every time, and I knew, at that moment, that nothing would ever be the same. 3 weeks later, I found myself in the command center of the Resolute Mercy, watching the galaxy threaten to tear itself apart. The holographic display showed 15 Draxan cruisers bearing down on Colony World Petra 5, 2 million civilians with no chance of survival unless something miraculous happened. Admiral Kesh, a Thorn with more combat experience than most beings had birthdays, studied the display, his expression one of cold calculation. He was resigned. Evacuation transports will never make it. Even 10% of the population, Commander Bell said grimly. The Vraxans will be in firing range before we can respond. I added. Then I remembered. Humans were in the sector. 200 soldiers, 6 transports, fully armed. Kesh's eye stalk swiveled. The humans? Stone's group? Yes, sir. They completed integration last week. A tense silence filled the room. Then I opened the communication channel to Angry Hornet, lead human transport. Stone's face appeared on screen, calm, focused, dangerous. Analyst Vaughn, not a social call, I assume. Commander, situation critical. I transmitted. Tactical data flowed across the channel. Stone's eyes scanned, processing, calculating. 10 seconds. Done. The colony defenses? Minimal. Outdated frigates. Anti-air systems. Civilian forces. Stone nodded. Understood. Plot intercept course. Maximum burn. Get everyone geared up. Tell Webb to break out the big toys. We're going in hot. I felt my stomach tighten. 15 cruisers, 6 transports, 200 humains. Impossible odds. Commander, these orders defy protocol. You risk everything. Stone's voice was calm, chilling. Analyst, humans do not follow orders that let 2 million civilians die when we can prevent it. We act. You tell command we engaged despite orders, or we had communication difficulties. Your choice. We're going in. Engagement begins 3 hours. 38 minutes later, the humans dropped out of faster-than-light travel into Petra 5 system. The tactical display exploded with movement. The human transports were not flying in formation. They split, separating into multiple vectors. Non-standard formation. They're exposing themselves. Burrell shouted. I don't know. I admitted, feeling the panic creep in Stone's voice. We are exactly where we need to be. Watch and learn, analyst. The Vraxan cruisers detected them. 3 cruisers diverted to handle what they saw as a minor nuisance. Mistake #1. Each transport, retrofitted with missile pods, railguns, and kinetic kill vehicles, unleashed devastation. 2 cruisers destroyed in the first 30 seconds. Debris became cover for new attacks. Holy saints, preserve us, Kree whispered beside me. The humans weren't fighting like transports. They were destroyers. Attack frigates. They used hit-and-run, wolf-pack tactics, exploiting every delay, every vulnerability. Old Earth naval doctrine applied in space, perfected. Against all odds, 3 cruisers broke toward the colony. Most commanders would expect humans to break off. Stone's ships didn't. They accelerated toward the planet, intercepting with absolute precision. Every weapon fired. Missiles, railguns, kinetic kill vehicles. Overwhelming force delivered with no hesitation. Point 2 Vraxan cruisers disabled. The third barely fired before a kinetic kill vehicle punched through the bridge. Planet protected. Civilians alive. Unbelievable, I muttered. The remaining Vraxan ships tried to flee. Stone pursued. Communications went out to coalition ships. We are in pursuit. Join if you can. Captain Vex's cruiser arrived, adding firepower. The 15 ships, confident of easy victory, became wreckage in under 20 minutes. 6 human transports still operational, all survivors intact. That I sank into my chair. 2 million lives saved by 200 humans. Admiral Kesh turned to me, awe and disbelief in his eyes. Analysts, they just defied every tactical expectation we have. They didn't just survive. They won. Stone appeared on screen, bloodied, exhausted, disheveled, but calm. Colony secure. 0 human casualties. We're ready for the next mission. The battle over Petra 5 had ended, but the galaxy's nerves were raw. News of 200 humans annihilating 15 Vraxan cruisers spread like a supernova. Coalition commanders were stunned, some terrified, some scrambling to adjust strategy. That I stood on the Resolute Mercy's command deck, trying to record every maneuver, every weapon, every tactic the humans had used. My data pads were overloaded. Nothing in Coalition doctrine matched what I just witnessed. Analyst Vaughn, Admiral Kesh said, his voice calm but tense. Do you realize what they just did? Yes, sir. They didn't just save Petra 5. They shattered our expectations. They rewrote the rules of engagement. Kesh's 4 eye stalks swiveled in unison. And they're just getting started. Human Initiative Stone's transports didn't rest. Within hours, they regrouped, repaired, and launched a calculated offensive toward the Vraxan staging system. Coalition intelligence had mapped the Vraxan fleet supply and command nodes. Normally, it would take months to plan a coordinated strike. Well, months. They did it in under 12 hours, using data from Petra 5, previous engagements, and their own battlefield intuition. Stone communicated with me via secure channel. Analyst Vaughn, we're going to hit them where it hurts. Supply lines, command hubs, orbital refineries. Minimal exposure for civilians. Maximum impact. Your coalition doctrine slows us down. We don't do slow. Commander, these targets are deep in enemy space, I said. Your ships are ready. Trust us. And that was it. No hositaschen. No epids. Humans moved like predators with purpose. Every transport acting as a multi-role attack ship. Each crew member perfectly synchronized. Perfectly lethal. Shock and awe in Vraxan space. The Vraxan command network barely had time to react. Human ships struck with surgical precision. Missile barges, railgun volleys, kinetic kill vehicles tearing through armored cruisers. Each engagement lasted minutes instead of hours. The Vraxans had expected conventional coalition tactics. Calculated, slow, careful. They had never encountered humans. Every prediction failed. Every defensive measure was bypassed or destroyed. On the tactical display, I tracked dozens of Vraxan vessels destroyed or disabled within the first 48 hours. Human casualties? Almost none. They were ghosts, hunters, and the hunters were relentless. Admiral Kesh leaned close, voice tight with disbelief. Analyst, they're not just winning. They're rewriting the war entirely. The Vraxans, our enemies, cannot adapt fast enough. Coalition reaction reports poured in from across coalition space. Colonists rescued. Mining stations liberated, forward outposts retaken. Every operation the humans touched became a textbook of unconventional warfare, leaving coalition forces scrambling to keep up. Stone's strategy was simple. Strike first, strike hard. Exploit every weakness immediately. Move faster than the enemy can respond. Every time the Vraxans tried to regroup, humans anticipated, countered, and overwhelmed them. Coalition commanders began taking notes officially. Informal whispers ran through war rooms. Call the humans first. They'll solve it. And humans, of course, didn't wait for permission. They volunteered, as always. Psychological warfare, it wasn't just physical destruction. Humans brought fear where none existed. Vraxan pilots who survived encounters reported seeing ships maneuver in impossible formations. Weapons hitting targets before firing seemed possible. Attacks from angles that defied conventional physics, but Stone's units leveraged Vraxan overconfidence against them, creating traps in open space, luring capital ships into kill zones. By the time the Vraxans realized what was happening, it was too late. Coalition analysts, including myself, were left redefining every tactical parameter we had relied on for centuries. The humans weren't just fighting. They were teaching the galaxy a new language of war. Cliffhangers set up as the first Vraxan fleets began retreating in disarray. Stone's transports regrouped at the edge of enemy space. Analyst Vaughn, his voice came over the secure channel, calm as ever. Phase 2 begins in 6 hours. Target, Command Nexus. Entire fleet, minimal support. We're going in. I felt my 3 stomachs twist. Commander, even your fleet, we're humans. We handle impossible. Watch. And then the screen went silent, leaving only the blinking dots of hundreds of Vraxan ships and 6 human transports advancing deeper into the heart of enemy territory. The Vraxan Command Nexus loomed on the tactical display like a dark crown of steel. Hundreds of cruisers, battleships, and orbital defense platforms surrounded it. Even seasoned coalition commanders whispered that attacking this cluster was suicide. Stone's voice cut through the comms. Calm, deadly precise. Analyst Vaughn, all units focus on the Nexus. Prioritize command centers, shielding, and propulsion. Disable, do not destroy unless it resists. Let's clean this up before they realize what's happening. I watched in disbelief. 6 transports against hundreds of capital ships. No backup, no reinforcements except their audacity. The assault begins. The Angry Hornet led the formation, weaving at impossible speeds between orbital defenses. Missile barges, railgun volleys, and kinetic kill vehicles shredded enemy cruisers in seconds. Vraxan defensive fire concentrated on the Hornet, Stone's ship, but each human vessel acted like a living organism, covering each other, drawing fire, exploiting weaknesses. Coalition veterans leaned close to the displays, mouths open. I scribbled notes furiously. Humans weren't just attacking. They were deconstructing Vraxan doctrine live, improvising, adapting, anticipating every countermeasure in real time. The Command Nexus Breachstone's transport split, darting into the enemy formation with terrifying coordination. They struck the Nexus's orbital shields simultaneously, bypassing redundant layers with weapons no Vraxan engineer had anticipated. Kinetic projectiles, precision railgun strikes, and experimental energy weapons adapted from human designs. Within minutes, sections of the Nexus were in flames. Communications jammed. Command ships incapacitated. The Vraxan fleet's coordination collapsed entirely. Analyst Vaughn, I thought they're doing what no one believed possible. The humans don't stop. Stone's forces didn't wait for surrender. They pressed the attack relentlessly, disabling ship after ship, leaving Vraxan captains scrambling to save what remained of their crews. Every human maneuver displayed tactical genius tempered by instinct honed over millennia of conflict on Earth. Admiral Kesh muttered something I will never forget. They're not fighting to survive. They're fighting to win, completely, decisively. And the Vraxans have no idea what hit them. The surrender 3 days later, the Vraxan command, their fleets shattered, their capital destroyed, sent envoys. Stone boarded their flagship, not in triumphal arrogance, but with the same measured professionalism he had displayed in the Gamma 7 docking bay. He delivered the terms of surrender: full cessation of hostilities, disarmament, and compensation for coalition worlds. Every word was precise, calm, final. Coalition representatives watched, stunned. The humans didn't just win. They redefined victory itself. Stone's parting words, broadcast galaxy-wide, carried the weight of a human ethos. Earth came to your aid because it was the right thing to do. Because civilized beings do not stand by when others are threatened. We fought alongside you. We bled alongside you. Some of us died alongside you. This war is over. The Vraxans are defeated. But make no mistake, this was not a coalition victory. This was an us victory. Humans and aliens, together. The future will remember this day. Threaten it, and you will meet the same fate. Humans do not do half measures. We do total, absolute victory. Stone out. Aftermath coalition command centers reeled. Analysts, admirals, and tacticians had to rewrite doctrines overnight. Humans had exposed the limits of traditional thinking that I filed my final report. The Stone Doctrine, a complete record of human combat strategies, tactics, and operational philosophy. It became mandatory reading at every military academy in the galaxy. Over the next decade, whenever a new threat emerged, the same question was asked. Should we call the humans? The answer was always the same, yes. If you want it solved, permanently, completely call the humans. And the galaxy learned, in awe and fear, that Earth didn't send diplomats or generals. They sent soldiers, the best humans had to offer, and they were terrifyingly effective. The Legacy I retired 3 years after the war, teaching the next generation of tacticians. But every lecture, every class, every tactical debate reminded me of Stone's words. Humans see the impossible. They calculate the odds, and then they do it anyway. Not because they are fearless. They feel fear like any other species, but because someone has to. And when humans decided someone had to, the rest of the galaxy learned a simple, chilling truth. Cross humanity, and someone will come for you. And they will not stop until the threat is gone. The galaxy had been reshaped. The Vraxans defeated. Coalition space secure. And humanity had earned its reputation. Not as diplomats, not as negotiators, but as killers in army suits, capable of rewriting war itself.